Publishing an article without this checklist would be so cringe. Really though, like not taking the time to go through your content and just make sure that these things are there could cost you so much in terms of traffic. We were talking about this and I was even asked, what sort of an increase in traffic could you see by going through these things? It really could be that you have an article that doesn't even show up on page 1. And by doing these things, you move to the #1 position. You could literally go from like 5 page views a month to 1,000 page views a month. And so it's really important that we make sure that our content is really good. And these things are what's gonna help you make that happen.
I think it's important to realize, so we're talking about a bunch of pre-published checklist ideas here. And this isn't something that has to happen after the writing.
No.
You should definitely be incorporating some of these things that we talk about into your writing process so you don't have to go back and fix the article after it's already been written.
Exactly. For Project 24 members, we're actually putting this checklist in the blogging system so you can go check it out. We have a lesson in there that's all about making sure that your content is leveled up, that it's really good. Go check that out because honestly, this is a checklist that I think is worth printing out and having right there, maybe right behind your computer or on your desk somewhere, just to make sure you have these things. So there's 3 things that you definitely need to do as you're going through the content. So if you're writing it yourself, you could do these things as you're writing. If you outsource the content, you had somebody else write it, these are things that I would do during at least a one-time complete read through of the whole article. The first one is we wanna fact check any claims that are made in the article. If this is a niche you know something about, which is what I highly recommend, then don't write anything yourself that you don't know to be accurate from your own experience or from your own research. And 2, if you outsource this article to someone else, during that one-time read through, just any claims that are made, does that make sense to me? Does that sound accurate? Anything that raises any red flags, take a minute and just go look it up, go do a little bit of research and make sure that that still rings true. We don't want to be publishing content just regurgitating the same sort of misinformation that other bloggers have been sharing. This can just be like literally factual things that other people have gotten wrong that have been perpetuated through multiple blog posts because they all just research and take each other's content.
So we had a really interesting example of this. When we were hiring some writers at one point, we had them write a practice article to see what their writing was like. And we all gave them the same topic to write on. And when they all came back, all of the information was exactly the same. And we went back to look at their sources and they had all taken information from like the first 5 articles on Google. So it's always worth the fact check. The next one that we need to talk about are answer targets. Answer targets are just a short, kind of really easy to read, very quick information that we write right at the top of the article. When you write your answer target, you probably spend some time going through it to make sure it sounds good. If you have a writer going through it and writing the answer target, then you definitely want to review it. But even for the answer target that you write, you should review that answer target and wordsmith it. Make sure that it sounds perfect. Make sure that the information comes first. Make sure there's no fluff. Make sure it's formatted correctly. Even if you spend just a minute or 2 on this, it can significantly improve your answer target.
Answer targets are still good for winning Google snippets, but even more than that, they're good for making your content helpful content, which is really important. These days, Google cares about helpful content. And so when we provide the answer up front in a very easy to find format, and we're just very factual about it, that is extremely helpful. And I have found that it encourages readers to keep reading because in basically every situation, I'm able to tell them, here is the base level answer that you're looking for, but there's more information that you need to know to be able to really understand this and be able to make any sort of decision. So keep reading the article. And it works. It works extremely well. So yes, wordsmith the answer target. I think on that last article I wrote, I probably spent as long on that one paragraph as I spent on any subheading.
A quick little tip for answer targets. I've reviewed probably thousands of answer targets. Something that I often see with answer targets, and this is maybe like a fun little hack, a lot of times the most helpful information ends up being written in the second sentence in an answer target. So when you're reviewing your answer target, read the first sentence, read the second sentence, and a lot of times I end up taking the second sentence and putting it first. For some reason, a lot of writers want to do a little bit of introduction and they almost tee up their answer target in the answer target. So see if you can swap those sentences around and get that information first.
This next one is kind of just a must-have, but it's super fast and super easy, and that is to do a quick spelling and grammar check. If you have major errors in spelling and grammar, that's gonna look bad to search engines, and it's going to look bad to people. You will probably still end up with typos on your website, but just use the free Grammarly Chrome extension and write your article, and anytime it underlines anything, look at it. Sometimes it will be wrong. It continues to tell me that power sports must be 2 words. And it's not, by the way. I live here, and it is in Idaho, where we have a lot of power sports, and very honest, like, it's always written 1 word when it's talked about in power sports. So what did I do? I just click ignore, but I checked it and made sure, because it also found a whole bunch of other little errors that were just because I type fast. And so check spelling and grammar and do it quickly.
The next one is images.
Yeah.
Now, images are so valuable on a blog post. You know, we talk about different forms of media and how those can impact how your article can rank. Original images are so valuable. Make sure you have images in your blog post. You know, if you don't have original images, then you can use a form of stock image. Look for an image that actually fits what you're talking about. If you put an image under a subheading talking about a very specific thing, make sure your image matches what you were talking about at that point in the article. You don't want an image that is like kind of tangentially related, because then the reader's gonna wonder why the image was even there, and it kind of takes away the value.
There's kind of a hierarchy to this, right? It's like, an image is better than no image.
Yes.
A relevant image is better than one that's completely irrelevant. One that actually illustrates what you're talking about is even better. And if it's an original image that they're not gonna find elsewhere on the web, that's even
like
better.
the lottery.
So that is the ideal. You won't be able to do that every time for most of us, and that's okay. But if you wrote an article about hiking and you're talking specifically about hiking boots, and then you show a picture of someone who looks like they're hiking, but they're wearing trail running shoes, that is a fail.
Some people are really worried that they just don't have the skill of photography. And that's totally okay.
Yeah.
It's almost better if your images look a little bit amateur,
Yep.
because that means that they were probably taken by a regular person who's experienced the thing that is being talked about in the article. So whenever I go to a website and I see an amateur looking photo, I'm relieved, because I think I found an article that's actually gonna be helpful.
Another thing with that is, like, if I'm taking an image of a product, I'm gonna take an image of me holding the product.
Yes.
Even if I don't wanna show my face, I'm gonna show it in my hand and not have it look like it was taken at a photo studio. And that is going to give so much more credibility. The next one is to go through all of your subheadings in your article and make sure of really 2 things. One, that they're formatted and written to be able to be like a headline. So I want them 60 characters-ish. And the reason for that is Google will sometimes take those subheadings and use them as a headline in a search result if the answer to a particular search query comes under that subheading. Write it short so that Google can show the whole thing, and write it as a headline. It should be reasonably catchy. The second piece is to make it standalone. You shouldn't need the context of what came before it to understand what it means. And so if I'm talking about buying ATVs and my subheading is pricing or seasonality, that is super common, because in the days of like outlining an essay, we would write that in our outline because we have the context of the rest of the essay. For this, we want to actually make a statement, right? You know, the best season to buy ATVs is in the fall. That is a subheading. And then I'm going to explain why that's true and how much that's true, right?
Okay, I'm gonna knock out 2 points here kind of under monetization. Okay, we're gonna talk about 2 things. So the first one is just adding relevant affiliate links. Making sure that you sell those links. A lot of times on articles that I read, I'll just see, check out this product on Amazon.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, come on, could you have said that any more of a boring way? Like, tell me why I should check out this product. You know, tell me why you like it. Tell me how it's relevant. Make sure those links are in there. That's one of the big reasons why we're writing these articles. You know, we want people to convert through on those links. Another thing that you should probably be doing is, if you are writing display ads on your website, is make sure that your article is just formatted for display ads. And what I mean by that is just making sure that the paragraphs are short, you know, making sure that there's a lot of spaces potentially for ad placements there. If you have big blocky paragraphs, there's going to be very few spots where an ad could be placed in content.
Now I want to mention this other one, and this affiliate links has the same issue. If you don't do it at the time of publishing, it takes so much more work to go back in time and do it all later. And so this one is interlinking. When you have an article, really when you plan what articles you're gonna write, when you do your search analysis, I really like to keep my articles grouped. Even if like I come back later and do another batch of search analysis, I come up with 3 more articles that are kind of in the same category as these 10 I already wrote. I'm literally gonna group them together in my search analysis, whether I'm using a spreadsheet or Airtable or whatever. because I can visually see that these articles all go together. And so at the time of publishing, I can make sure that I link out to the articles that I should link to, and I can go update any previously written articles and add links to this new one. Doing this at the time of publishing is so much easier than going through after the fact when you have 100 articles and interlinking. If you're doing it that way, you're probably going to want to use a tool that's going to do it automatically, and it's not going to be as good or as natural. So take care of interlinking now. If you outsource to the article, they're probably not going to do any of this for you. If I'm talking about buying ATVs and I already have an article on financing for ATVs or for power sports, then in that article, even if I didn't talk at all about financing, I should think about that and be like, these are closely related topics. I'm just going to add a little paragraph. Where I'm talking about buying a new ATV from a dealer, I'm just going to add one paragraph about financing that introduces that topic and point people over to my article about financing. I don't have that article yet. So in the future, when we write that article, I will come back to this one and add that paragraph. Yeah. Do it at the time of publishing. We did a cool little case study a little while back on one of our websites about interlinking. We added links, we sold the links, we did a good job, and I showed exactly how I add those links in a way to actually get more clicks. And we were able to see a nice increase in the amount of people clicking through, which is awesome. That's what we want to see. It does a lot for topical authority. It helps build traffic. It helps take your brand new blog post, and when you link to it from existing content, it gets it indexed super fast, gets traffic to it faster, gets it ranking better and faster. There's so many positive benefits to interlinking. So I want to invite you to go check out that video because you're going to learn exactly how to do a good job of interlinking. And this is your list. Go do these things. It's going to make your content so much better as long as you make sure you don't skip a single thing on this list.